On July 23rd, I sat down at my desk and hit the start stream button. And for the next 77 hours, I would not be allowed to leave my house until I beat every single Fire Emblem game. So during the first day of this charity marathon, I was a bundle of nerves as my ability to beat these games as fast as possible would determine how many hours, days, and maybe even weeks that I would be stuck at my computer. I started out with a game I did a live speedrun for already, being Fire Emblem Three Houses. I had a charity bid war to determine the house, so after funneling kills into Byleth, I chose the golden deer. From here on out, I would just be following a speedrun guide made by the legendary speedrunner Kirby Master. This guide was going to be my key for being able to save brain power for the rest of the day. I was playing by myself for about the first 10 chapters until El Nato showed up in call, and that was when we realized that all my sound settings on my computer were all types of messed up. I spent a solid 25 minutes messing with these settings and updating my drivers until chat said that they could finally hear Nato again. I couldn't hear anything though, but the show must go on, as they say. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm wearing a Sonic hat and a Haikyuu cosplay, people donated to charity to make me wear it. Anyway, I was really tilted at the sound difficulties, and it also didn't help that one of my mods had decided to troll me. There's no audio at all now.
What?
What are you talking about? What are you guys smoking?
Oh, no game audio.
No game audio.
Oh my goodness.
A follow. I will murder you. I will murder you. Stop trolling me. I'm not reading chat no more.
Oh
Fuck you
God.
guys. I'll follow your band. Your band. All in all, the Three Houses run is pretty easy if you follow the guide, as you can just use Byleth and Catherine with some warps until you get Dancer Sylvain and Super Claude at the time skip. Due to my lack of experience running Three Houses, I did have to freestyle a couple of chapters, like the map right before time skip where my Byleth wasn't strong enough to fight Edelgard on enemy phase, so I had to come up with my own way to get Byleth in range to crit Edelgard on player phase with a combat art. The Three Houses run ended at about 3 hours 55 minutes, which was 53 minutes slower than my previous run of the game. I wanted to make sure I made a good first impression for this stream and start off strong, but the sound issues and my lack of experience really let me down. El Nato was set to play Shadow Dragon and had been in call for a while since he was supposed to be playing 55 minutes prior. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon speedruns are wild and can be beaten in a mind-blowing 17 minutes, thanks to the incredible power of
4 warp saves
and the access to a 12-use Hammer'n staff, which allows us to repair any item. Using this, we can have up to
100 uses of the warp staff.
So you'd imagine this run would be pretty fast, right? Like in around 2 hours 14 minutes. Yeah, things didn't go as planned. Nato had only learned the speedrun about 5 days before the stream, and his runs took around 1 hour 15 minutes, which is pretty good for a guy who's only ever played one Fire Emblem game on his channel. His run actually started really well, until he saved over his save file after killing Lena, who's the only unit that can use the Hammer'n staff.
I don't want you, do you.
Wait, is Lena?
Oh
my gosh.
No!
She is the only unit who can use the
She's
Hammer'n
the
staff.
one that we need the most.
Shadow Dragon was the first Fire Emblem game in the series that allowed you to completely skip enemy phases by pressing the start button. And as with many first-time mechanics in the Fire Emblem series, there's a bit of jank with this feature. Shadow Dragon skips enemy phases, but it also skips over unit death quotes, which normally tells you when a unit dies. While skipping enemy phases, Nato accidentally killed Lena and then saved over his file. Now, any sane person would just reset the run, right? But El Nato and a follow are not sane people. For the next 2 hours, they sacrificed many units and cheesed many bosses to allow Marth to continue his Hammer'nless journey, and they somehow arrived at the final map of the game with only Marth, a level 1 Sheeta, and a single warp staff use left. They would be absolutely screwed if Nagi hadn't shown up at the beginning of the map, and she's the only character that can even hope to kill the final boss. With the last warp staff that they have, they can get her closer to Medius, and since she barely survives a single enemy phase, she has only one chance to kill Medius, and that's with a 10% chance to crit, which they actually never got.
Alright.
Just 10% crit. Okay. Oh! She has to dodge a lot, but she'll be okay. Just dodge another 72. Can she dodge? She did it! Oh my gosh! And a crit!
Oh my god!
That's it! That's it! I believe!
Yeah!
I follow you fucking god!
Let's go. $1 saved.
Oh.
What the fuck just happened?
See, I could have been in this game normally, or I could have used the warp staff!
Well, I can't say that the stream started the way I wanted it to. Around 6 hours 20 minutes in when we started the third game. So we're already about 2 hours behind schedule. I decided for the morale boost that I should finish FE1 real quick, which is really fast. This is the fastest game in this series actually, since the current world record is 4 minutes and 37 seconds. I actually made an entire video dedicated to this wild speedrun, so check that out if you want to see the game in its 10-minute glory. So now we were 7 hours into the marathon and we've beaten 3 Fire Emblem games already. I had about 2 hours until a follow would take over for the night while I slept, so I played Fire Emblem Path of Radiance in the meantime, and got about halfway through the game training up Titania, Marcia, and Kieran before I passed the control of the stream to a follow 8. Just like with this stream, let's pass the microphone over to a follow 8 to recap night 1.
Howdy partners, I'm a Follow 8 stand-in to recap the first night of the charity stream. I started off with FE8 where I unleashed my favorite strategy of building a massive support chain between Garcia, Ross, Lute, Naomi, and Arthur. With their efforts combined, I swept the early game until we got to the ghost ship. On this map, I abused Ducel with hand axe, and to be honest, I don't know if he literally ever used a different weapon in my playthrough. By the end of the game, many had died, but we still managed to kill the Demon King with the funny devil axe. After my favorite game in the series, JBR tortured me by having me play through my least favorite, being FE7. It wasn't really hard since Harkin exists. Game's bad, so bad in fact that JBR's computer died in the middle of the game and we had to wake him up in order to fix the stream.
Hello chat. Discord crashed. We'll be back. I want to go back to sleep.
Morning.
Don't take it more. I'm going back to sleep.
Alrighty. Sounds good then.
Alright, I'll
You
see
can go back to bed.
See you in like 3 hours.
Alrighty. Good luck.
Poor guy.
When he did wake up, we continued to beat the game by killing the fire dragon with the devil axe. By this point, I had finished my objective of beating FE8 and FE7, but JBR was still not awake, so I continued to play FE6 until he woke up, which is a punishment worse than death.
5 o'clock rolled around, and as soon as I popped in the call and said, hello, a follow basically left instantly.
Being awake this long is like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what time is anymore. I genuinely can't tell you what time is.
You gotta lock in a 12-hour shift tomorrow, don't you?
I'm about to lock myself in jail so they don't make me do 12-hour shifts.
Hey
Yeah.
guys.
Yo, you're
Whoa,
awake.
he's
Take
here.
this game away from me.
JBR?
Take it away. You're at chapter
Hello.
7.
The late great Kobe Bryant used to wake up at 5 a.m. to train basketball.
Ball.
So
Ball's life.
So I've decided to spend my life waking up at 5 a.m. to play Fire Emblem. I spent the next 3.5 hours beating the second half of Path of Radiance, which was extremely easy yet time consuming until the last chapter of the game. I was playing on the easiest difficulty setting imaginable, which causes the final boss to not move like he does on higher difficulties, meaning I have to take down an entire map of enemies and the red dragons, until I can finally reach Ashnard, who is ridiculously strong by the way. Even on this easy difficulty, my Ike who leveled up terribly would get one-rounded and only do a measly 9 damage in return. The only way I could take him down was to have Tabarn slowly damage him each turn until he's in Ike's kill range with an 83% chance. 83% chance? Let's fucking go! That done, I quickly moved back to Fire Emblem 6 and saw that a follow 8 left us with some very interesting units. He trained up Alan like I asked him to do, but he also trained up some other strange units like Deacon Wade. Cecilia died right as we hit the 24-hour mark, and I also got Milady right after this. Milady on hard mode is easily, without a doubt, the best unit in the game and one of the best units in the series, due to her being a flyer unit with insane stats. But since this is normal mode, her bases are well, a lot worse. Everybody in chat was telling me I was dumb for not training Shauna early on, and that Milady kinda sucks. But sometimes all you need to have is a little bit of faith. It has a big penis. Oh, shit, wrong clip. Just get speed. Fuck yeah. So many less. Another speed level up. Oh my god. Let's go. Strength, speed, skill. Another strength, skill, defense level up. By the time we had beat every enemy in chapter 13, Milady had 17 strength, 17 speed, 14 defense, and 18 skill at level 17. My Milady had gotten quite strong quite fast by the end of the chapter, but my thirst and greed for having Milady carry the run was not quite over. A hero? Okay. I'm not fucking with anybody with crit. Okay, I think it's about time we seize, actually, everybody.
Trust me, JBR. It'll be completely fine.
You do live.
You can just back out and it'll be fine.
Okay, that was when I decided that Milady was probably strong enough, and I should finish the map as soon as possible. And she actually was strong enough to carry me throughout the rest of the game, and it helped that in chapter 15 Percival joined me, and he's barely worse than Alan. By this point we were doing pretty well, 25 hours in and we had already beaten 6 of the 16 Fire Emblem games. But there was one game in particular that had been giving me nightmares for months leading up to the charity stream. Thracia 776 is known as the hardest and most complex Fire Emblem game ever, due to its many unique mechanics that are mandatory to know. That's a problem since Thracia is one of the 3 Fire Emblem games I have not yet played. Luckily for me, I had a cheat code, or 2 of them up my sleeve. Just like Nato and a follow had shown up to play while I took a much needed nap, I had 2 people come on stream to play Thracia for me since I had only slept about 5 hours during the past 26 hours of my life. Mute Myosu and Ghost Wheel are 2 of the greatest Fire Emblem speedrunners in the world. Ghost Wheel, who would be our commentator for this Thracia speedrun, holds the 4th place record in Thracia and the 2nd place in Genealogy. Mute Myosu, who would be running Thracia, holds 1st place in FE3, Genealogy of the Holy War, Tearing Saga, and 2nd place in both Gaiden and of course Thracia. Out of all the VODs to check out from the 77 hours worth of footage, I highly recommend checking out the run of Thracia to see this game broken down by 2 speedrunning legends. I'm looking forward to watching when I eventually play this game blind at 2,000 subscribers. Subscribe if you want to see me play the game like completely blind and shit. But yeah. Mute and Ghost did a hell of a job beating Thracia. Even with the run being awful in Mute's own words, they still beat the hardest Fire Emblem game in 2 hours 27 minutes, which is almost perfectly the amount of time that Nato and I had lost from our respective runs at the start of the stream. Major shoutouts to both Mute Myosu and Ghost Wheel who killed it on this run. Make sure to check those 2 as well as the others who helped out in the description below. So next up was not I, but cavalry units who would be playing FE12. This was my personal favorite run of the stream. It started out pretty normally, train up the avatar Milo, beat the prologue, reset because Milo's first level ups were shit, beat the prologue for real this time, and blaze through the rest of the game with Milo, Pala, Marth, and
The warp staff!
Now, to my surprise, the run was actually going fantastic. Sure, it took us almost 4 hours to speedrun what could have been a 40-minute run, but we had made it to the final chapter without any problems whatsoever. Except, well, Urk kind of forgot how to speedrun the last chapter. He had all the necessary tools to do the double warp rescue strat to kill Medius, but he kind of forgot how to do that. So we sort of, improvised.
Alright. Oh, he's gotta crit both hits. But automatically, unless he doesn't crit a
You
single
just
hit.
have to crit 1 of 3.
He's gotta crit
Wait,
one
wait,
of
wait,
four.
wait.
One of 4. Yeah, we
Let's
won.
go.
Let's go. He
Double
dodged.
crit.
Huge dub.
Let's go.
Here we
won.
go.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do it again.
Again. Do it.
Alright, let's go.
Don't fuck it up now. It's over.
Yeah. Survive off of. Oh, we do have
wait
to.
a minute. Wait a minute.
Got him.
Ah. We got trolled.
Wait a minute.
We lost. I think Mark dies.
Wait. Where there's a
No,
will,
Mark
there's a
dodges
way.
every single dragon on the map.
We hope.
They have bad hit rates. It could happen.
Oh, okay, good game.
Okay. Okay, never mind. We are not done, chat.
No, you're not.
Don't
We
celebrate
got
yet.
we got epic.
You won.
We try enemy phasing, we're not winning. So the
Oh,
only
okay.
bet we have is that we crit 2 times here, then we crit 2 times again after he heals himself.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, math.
Bro, y'all use that math shit. That was
Let's
crazy.
see that.
Crit 1, that's crit 1, crit 2, crit 2, crit 2, crit 2.
Oh, wait a
Okay,
minute.
Wait,
Alright,
so,
alright,
wait a
so
minute.
he heals, right?
Wait a minute.
Don't think you won. Don't think that's
He takes their health,
Yeah.
so he's not gonna have heals to full. So he'll kill the
You guys
third
get
cleric. He'll have to kill.
You got
Yeah.
26th place.
Let's
yeah.
go.
Okay.
Works.
This is genius.
All right, this is it.
This is genius.
This isn't genius.
You just
this
keep
is
doing this
legitimate.
over and over again until it eventually works.
Because it
Crit
will
twice,
eventually
crit
work.
twice, crit twice. We got crit twice. Ah, reset.
I think you reset. Now you know you can sell. Now you know you can sell absolutely everything, and
We
then
sell
just forge
absolutely
more
everything.
crit. Yeah.
Ah.
Genius.
Wait.
Wait. He's stupid. Wait, he's dumb. He's a dummy.
We won.
We got him. We got him. We
He's
got him.
dummy.
You won.
Why
Ladies and
did
gentlemen,
he
we
do
got
that?
him.
Don't ask
Why did
questions.
he do that?
We won. We won.
You won.
Why have I been speeded so easily?
This game is so easy. This game is...
For some bizarre reason, instead of going for the guaranteed game over by attacking Marth, Medius's AI saw that he could also give us a game over by killing Milo, which is very strange since Marth can't attack back since he's 2 tiles away. Well, I'm not gonna complain, and instead I will spend the next 2 hours of my life on this awful chapter of Fire Emblem 6. I wanted to make sure I could steal the Delphi shield from Narshan, which is an item that gets rid of Milady's only weakness being bows, so I spent more time than necessary to beat this map. The point that Jig showed up before I could even beat 3 more chapters of FE6. But hey, I was tired. I had been up for 14 hours straight by this point, and even if I wasn't the one playing the entire time, I had been streaming for 32 hours straight. I would normally be looking forward to heading to sleep right about now, but Jig was not the one who was supposed to be playing Fire Emblem 4. Instead, it was supposed to be Blake Blast. I had been planning this marathon stream for months in advance, and the plan was always to have Blake Blast play on July 24th Sunday night. Over 2 weeks in advance, Blake had asked for the day off of work, and a week before the stream started, they told him,
"We know that you asked for the day off, because you probably have something going on that day, but we're not going to only have you work that day, but actually, you have been scheduled for a double shift."
I might have woken up at 5 AM and played Fire Emblem, but Blake had woken up at 8 AM and had been working from 9 AM to 10 PM. In order to have him still be able to stream, since he really wanted to, he took the next 2 hours to prepare by buying enough bread to feed a village and a Gatorade container large enough for a football team. The 2-hour wait for Blake to show up was extremely hard for me, as unlike before where I had a game to distract myself from the fact that I was tired, I was now just sitting at my computer waiting for Blake to show up, and I nearly fell asleep in my chair. Eventually, Blake joined the call, and I want you all to see how happy I was as soon as I realized that Blake joined.
Who joined?
Is that Blake Blast?
Is it him?
Oh my god. I've never been so happy that you're
Blake,
here.
it's you.
This is like when all of the side characters are about to die and then the main character shows up.
Yeah, Goku just showed up, guys. It's Goku.
Goku! There was still one problem though. I was waiting for Jig to send Blake Blast a save file for the game, and Blake wasn't responding to any of us talking to him for some reason.
Also, I can't hear you, Blake.
I was gonna say, did I have him muted? My computer blue screen?
Dang.
Bro, please. Please. Oh, please, 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 please.
Blake is too powerful.
My computer literally took the first screen, guys.
Bro,
My-
please, please.
So I'm just restarting it.
Alright.
Eventually, they managed to set up the game, and the reason I had to stay up throughout all of this was so that I could click 2 buttons on Discord so that stream could see Blake Blast playing the game. Just like with a follow, let's let Blake Blast talk about what happened on night 2.
After a long day of staying 14 hours awake, starting at 9 AM my time, I finally arrived home at 11 PM to play my favorite game of the series, Fire Emblem 4, Genealogy of the Holy War. Little did they know this was my past plan to skip chapter 2 without speedrun. I started off around turn 1 of chapter 3, which so happens to be my favorite chapter of FE4. Chapter 3 was paced as efficiently as possible by horribly failing to keep Brilliant alive and Till 2 as well. Claude only mattered, as with Claude, Sigurd can awaken the rescue glitch. You can move an infinite number of times with a single unit, allowing Sigurd to see Quan and Antolin live, only to go to the castle and hear the tragic news of their deaths that Sigurd fully witnessed. After being roasted for such mockery, Selif decides to avenge his father by using the rescue guard stance to take over half of Jugdro in just a few hours. Once at the final battle, Selif did only 5 damage to attack Julius, and all hope was lost, so Selif had to resort to another secret technique: final boss abusing. With Julia gaining EXP, she became strong enough to finally overcome Julius and liberate Jugdro once and for all.
So I woke at 5 AM yet again, and to my surprise, the two gamers had not only beaten FE4, but a decent chunk of Gaiden as well. Since the pair was set to play all through tomorrow as well, I quickly sent them off to bed and worked my way to chapter 21 of the Binding Blade. This map is a wild experience, as whenever you progress deeper into the map, a massive wave of wyvern reinforcements will spawn everywhere. I wanted to try warp skipping the map like I usually do, but the boss was too strong. And I wasn't really prepared since I was trying to speedrun. Unless I wanted to keep resetting and watching these wyverns come at me over and over again while I try to get some lucky crits with Milady, it was time to play this map somewhat legit. So I had my 3 strongest units spread out to where the wyverns would spawn and take them out before they killed Roy. After finally ganging up on the boss, I headed to the final map of the game, where I trained Alan's sword rank in order to use Durandal against Zephiel, which had him doing over 50 damage in a single turn to him. If I wasn't really tired and wasn't trying to beat the previous map super fast, I may have been smart enough to train up Alan's sword rank to use Durandal on chapter 21 as well. But with FE6 down, we're back to a situation where none of the games have been started yet, besides FE2, but that wasn't my game to play. I had already scheduled Fire Emblem Fates and Awakening for later in the day, since I had many friends who wanted to join me to commentate those games. So while in very tired, foggy brain mode, I booted up the only really long remaining game left for me to play. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn was actually one of the most fun games for me to practice in the weeks coming up to the stream. This is because units like Jill, Har, and Ike are practically impossible to kill. As long as I keep Micaiah safe, I basically can't lose. There's also a really fun mechanic called bonus EXP, which I can use to spam on my strong units to level them up even further. I can have a unit like Har, who's the strongest unit in the game, be another 30 levels higher than the enemies we're fighting right away. And you can imagine that he's pretty strong like that. Radiant Dawn was actually a ton of fun as well, since some of my friends showed up in call and we talked about the charity we were raising money for.
Hey Milo, I got a question for you, bro.
What's up, Mega?
Oreos or Black History Month?
What?
Oreos
or
or
Black
Black History Month?
Black History Month? I don't know.
Why?
What do you mean I don't know?
He said I don't know.
He said I don't. I said.
Nah, he contemplating.
I don't know why that's a question.
He got to think about it.
Black History Month? What do you mean? That
Yeah,
is
give
the
me a
obvious
reason.
choice.
Give me a reason. A
Because
good reason.
It is history.
Because
We
it's
do
the
not,
obvious
we do
choice,
not
that's
need
what he just said.
Oreos.
You know what else we don't need?
What else don't we need?
Don't go there, don't go there.
We don't need unhealthy food. Yeah. Jamie, gotta be very careful with your wording here.
We don't need world hunger. And that's why you should donate to the No Kid Hungry charity stream so that we can feed
So
kids
true.
who are less fortunate.
The world would be so much better if we got rid of hungry children, bro.
I agree.
Why'd you have to
But
phrase
like-
it like that?
What? How did I phrase it?
You're not.
Would the world be
You're
a better
not.
place if we eradicated them?
You're not.
Wait. That's even worse. Eradicate hungry children.
Yes.
You don't see what's wrong with that sentence.
No. We're getting rid of hungry children. There's no hungry children means a better world, man.
Right as I was starting to struggle in the middle of Act 4 when the enemies start to catch up in levels, Mute came to run another game, being Fire Emblem 3, which only took about 4 hours. With FE3 being done, that means 54 hours in and we had beaten 11 of the 16 games, which is quite impressive, but I wanted to go even further beyond. The next two games were both mine to tackle, Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates. First was Awakening, which I had a genius strategy never seen before. I planned to have Chrom pair up with Robin and completely steamroll through this game's many chapters using only this pair. Now let me tell you, this was a pretty hard strategy for me to figure out before starting the stream. Robin solo is just completely busted, and let me demonstrate by showing you how easy the final boss of the game is with just Robin.
Chrom doesn't even have a weapon equipped.
Don't mind the lag, my DS is very, very laggy. It's old. It's like the first 3DS ever made. It's actually a beta version, so...
That explains it. That explains it.
GG. That is Awakening. After beating Awakening in about an hour, it was time for Fire Emblem Fates, which at first sounds like a large task since there's 3 versions of the game, being Fire Emblem Conquest, Fire Emblem Birthright, and Fire Emblem Revelations. The loophole that I discovered in my video where I discussed could you beat every game in 24 hours, I learned that there was a Japanese copy of Fire Emblem Fates, which has all 3 games put into one. Just like with the different routes in Fire Emblem Three Houses, I felt that as long as we saw the credits of the cartridge itself, it should be counted as beating all 3 games. Between the 3 of them, there is one that is hands down the fastest and easiest to complete, and that would be Fire Emblem Birthright. The main reason is that the enemy quality is so poor and the maps are so fast that I can just have Robin, Ryoma, and I guess Mozu as well, clear out the entire maps. I wouldn't normally use Mozu, but chat donated to make me use her, and I was more than willing to comply. But yeah, I can just have them spread out and destroy enemies with no worry of them dying because of Fate's unique difficulty mode called Phoenix Mode, which quite literally brings your units back to life mid-battle. This makes every single map and every single enemy a joke, since my units cannot die and just continue to beat up Birthright's more challenging enemies. The most impressive thing about the Fate speedrun was how we went from $400 raised to a massive $800. So thank you so much for anyone who donated during the 77-hour marathon stream. After beating those 2 games in about 4 to 5 hours, it was time for me to finally go to bed and let Blake and Jig tackle the longest game remaining.
Jig here. I started off where Blake left off in the middle of Act 2 of Gaiden. I got through Act 2 easily by using Saber and clearing the boat map hell. I couldn't really relax while playing because I was stressing out, so for Act 3 Blake took over and I was on the sidelines helping. What we ended up doing for both sides though was grinding a unit to become a Dread Fighter. Alm's side got Cliff as a Dread Fighter and Soka's side got Saber as a Dread Fighter. Dread Fighters in Gaiden are fast and do lots of damage. Every map basically became Cliff and Saber destroying everything. After navigating the tower, we got the falchion for Alm and we went to the final level. With the help of our Dread Fighters and Alm, we easily cleared Gaiden faster than JBR had planned. We honestly didn't know what to do since we didn't have any way of starting the other games. So after calling JBR, he told us to just play something until he got up a couple hours later. So me and Blake just played our favorite Fire Emblem game FE4 till he got up. That was basically it.
Combat system, which seems like, which people like to call redundant winning, son.
JBR's here.
We kind of beat. Wait, JBR's here? Why?
I can see him on the stream.
What do you
the
mean?
face cam. He's doing shush.
Wait, what? On the stream? Oh, wait.
Yeah. He's here.
Yes, he's here. Oh my gosh, he's being smug about it. He's waving now.
JBR, please.
Oh, don't run away, JBR!
3rd day in a row now, I woke at 5 AM and got to work playing Fire Emblem. I started off finishing Radiant Dawn, which took about 3 more hours, and eventually I was there at 8 AM. All my friends and most of my viewers were passed out from staying up too late, and I only had 1 more game to play, which I decided to wait to speedrun Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia at noon. To kill some time before then, for the next 3 to 4 hours, I decided to do random stuff, like joke speedruns that people asked me to do. That was to speedrun book 1 of Fire Emblem Heroes, except Jig waking me up in the middle of the night and the 69 hours of Fire Emblem had been wearing me out. So I decided it was time to do what every subathon or multi-day stream needs, a good old-fashioned sleep stream featuring JBR taking a 35-minute nap live on stream. After the longest recap episode of any anime where Marlo and I talked about everything in the stream up to that point, it was time to tackle the final game, being Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia. This was the game I had practiced the most in the time leading up to the stream. This meant that my runtime of Act 1 and Act 2 were actually pretty good. Alm's early Act 3 is absurd since Alm can easily get two-shotted by witches, who can warp from the other side of the map and attack him at random, or be 3-shot by normal enemy mages. I bring Foresight as a very noble sacrifice, but realized that I accidentally selected casual mode, which ended up saving my ass later on. Eventually, after taking down Desai, I got the Royal Sword, which made the game a lot easier. We forged it up and named it the Seth, after the second highest donator of the stream. This weapon gives me the double lion combat art, which lets me one-round any enemies on player phase. This also gives me subdue, which leaves enemies at 1 HP, meaning it's very easy for Silk to get to level 7 in order to use warp. We now have to slog through the maps of Act 3 and Act 4 of Celica's route for 3 hours straight until I finally get to Jeddah. The speedrun requires that I get a double crit on him in a single turn in order to get him to drop the Draco Shield. The Draco Shield gives a ton of defense and res, which we really want for Alm, so we use the peddlers to send Alm the shield so he can kill the mages. And we also give him a forged up longbow, which lets me take out enemy bow knights easily. After climbing up the tower in Celica's route and going through the tower once again with Alm, he finally reached the final map of the game where I get to take down Duma. Some careful preparation where I sneakily move around Jeddah's range and take out one of the bosses. I'm able to reach a turn when I'm on full HP and can pull Duma closer to me. You ignore him.
Okay, here we go. First crit.
Dragon installing the die true combo.
Celica, second crit. Let's go for the homies, for the homies, for the homies. For the kids.
No homies.
Oh my god.
120 damage? That's crazy.
I think Alm can still kill from here.
How much health does Duma have?
Okay. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Push Alm to like the falchion and just punch him in the face.
Let's go.
He hits, he wins.
We're resetting, boys.
No, he doesn't kill, he doesn't kill.
He's got hit, bro.
He's dead.
I don't know why you did that.
I want it to be over. I hate moguls! Move, bro!
You said it again. Now I can tell you guys to check general.
He's about to nut, but we're not gonna let him.
Damn, dude.
That's
Let
their
the
dance.
dude get his nut.
Okay, go Celica. I believe
Can't blame him.
61.
Yeah, I just looked up.
46% crit. We just need one. Here we go. 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 Here we go.
Double
Here we go.
We...
Oh.
Please.
1. It is just like the FE12 run.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Okay.
11
Okay,
more.
we win.
Oh my god.
We won. We won. We won. No, we won. We won.
That's
That's
it.
it.
He won.
That's it.
Celica don't
That's
need
it.
no man. Hello.
That's it. That's it. Fuck you. Fuck your Fire Emblem. Fuck it. Fuck it.
It's over, Dugo.
Oh, Alm is insane, he got the final hit.
He got up and left. Come on, guys. You can eradicate more kids before JBR gets back.
Rakut, Fernand, Milla, even my father, they and countless others lost to us, tainted by your precious power. But that chain of tragedies ends here. That right there is every single Fire Emblem beaten in one stream. GG, boys.